Hello and welcome to the Adventure Toolkit example reel number 1. My name is Glenn Storm and I'm from Hot Iron Productions. Today we're going to look at some of the tools in the action menu from the Adventure Toolkit. Let's start with the Aim Lock tool. This tool is meant to point one game object towards another at runtime. In this example I've got an arrow created from simple primitives and it's set with an Aim Lock tool. It's pointed at a target object, a sphere. The sphere is set to move with a mover. The Aim Lock tool has a few properties we need to look at. One is the Look at Target. It's currently set to the sphere. This is a game object reference. Then we have Up Vector. This is the direction defining what up is, and by default that is Y up, or in other words 0, 1, 0. Now if we look closely, we not only see a line pointing towards our target object, the sphere, but we have a little tiny wireframe sphere indicating where up is. And if I move our up vector values, you can see that sphere move around telling you which direction is up. Okay, now I'm going to leave it at 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. The last property to look at here is Use Fixed Update. This is a common checkbox in any tool that uses time. For the most part, you can leave this unchecked, and it will mean that this tool will update every frame, and typically that's what you want. If, however, you're dealing with objects such as rigid body physics or character controllers, they are updated on a different schedule, and if you want your tool to be in sync with that object, you will want this box to be checked. Like I said, in most cases we just want it to update every frame, so we'll leave it alone. Okay. Like I said, we have this arrow pointing at this sphere. Let's go ahead and hit play. We see as soon as runtime begins, the arrow snaps to the sphere. If we move the sphere with our mover, we can see it follows the sphere. Okay, and at runtime we can adjust our up vector, and our arrow is going to try and hold that up position no matter what we're doing. So we'll go ahead and adjust this again, hit runtime again, and move it again. You'll see it wants to hold that position as up. Okay. The next tool we're going to look at is Animation Series, and for that we're going to look at our Unity constructor character. This tool is designed to play an animation in sequence on an animatable mesh or character. It's any object that has an animation component on it. That's what an animation series can use. So let's look at some of the properties. First is our target go, or target game object, and we have that set to our constructor character. Next is the series itself. This is I have it set to 4 steps. Each step has a step label, so you can name it something in English as opposed to element 0. You could call it walk. Next is the animation clip, and we do have this first step set to the walk animation. Next is a checkbox called No Blend. And what this means is if you would like it to snap to this animation walk as opposed to blend from the current animation to walk, then you would want to check this box. But in most cases you do want it to blend because it looks nice and smooth, so you can leave it blank. The next property is called loops. This is the number of times you want this animation to repeat before going on to the next step in the series. We want it to walk through its cycle once and then walk again and walk again, so 2 repeats before moving on. So I've set it to 2. And the last property here in the steps is activate on step. It means that when we get to this step in the sequence, we can activate another object. This can be useful if the animation has to do with, I don't know, firing a gun or some other kind of particle and you want to activate that particle. You can do that with this. Okay. So I've got 4 steps, and I want it to walk, I want it to run, I want it to walk again, and then I want it to go to idle. At the end of this series, well, at the end of the series list in the property inspector, there's a property called default idle, so we can define which idle we want to use when we're not actually playing anything in the series. In other words, during the delay. And the next property is a start delay. We can define in the number of seconds how long it should wait before it begins the series. Next is max start delay. So what this means is we can define a start delay, and we can also define a maximum start delay, and it will find some random time between the two to delay. So if you're firing this animation series tool more than once and you would like it to not delay the same amount every time, then you can use this to have it randomized between two values. Okay. The next property is continuous loop, and if you check this, it will play the sequence of animations and then go back up to the top and loop through. Go through the whole series again. Next is activate on complete, and that means that after it's done with its whole series, you can have this tool activate another. So not only can you have each step activate another object, you can have this tool activate another object when the series is complete. Next we have reset on complete, and this is set so that you can deactivate this tool once the sequence is complete and have it ready to reactivate. Last property here is use fixed update. Again, you would only want this to be on when it's used for I'd say a character controller, or if it's dealing with rigid body physics and you want the animations to be updating with the updating of those physics, for example. Normally you actually don't. I know we're dealing with a character, but the point is most of the time you want these things to be updating every frame. Since we're talking about animation, that makes sense that it should be updating every frame. But it's here in case you need to do that. Alright, so let's go ahead and play. We see our character with the default wrench slapping idle. And we'll go ahead and turn on the animation series tool, and we'll see it walk. We'll see that walk repeat a couple of times, and it'll run. And that'll repeat a few times, and then it will walk again. And then we'll go back to our idle. Great. That's the animation series tool. Let's look at one more tool. Let's look at the light fader tool. For this, I've set up a simple plane with a point light. The point light is currently set to an intensity of 0. You can see if I turn it up, well, it's hard to see actually, because I've got two directional lights in the environment currently on, and what this light fader will do is deal with fade events, and it will turn, it's going to deal with 4 events. I'm going to have it turn down those directional lights. I'm going to have it turn up the point light, turn that point light back down, and then turn our directional lights back up. Okay. So fade events, and it has 4 steps here, but each step has an event label, so again you can name this something in English instead of having, say, element 0. Next we have a series of light objects that this fade event can deal with, and since we want to deal with 2 directional lights and turn them down, I've defined those here. Next is our target intensity. I want them to turn down all the way, so I've set it to an intensity of 0. We also have a fade delay in seconds and a fade duration. So it's going to wait half a second and then fade those lights down over the course of 1 second. This is a linear interpolation by default, but you can define your own interpolation with this field, fade interpolation. You can define something really fancy, but normally you may not want to. So next we turn our single light, our single point light up to 1. We'll turn it back down again to a intensity of 0. And then we'll turn our 2 directional lights back up to their intensity, which is 0.3. Okay. After the fade events on this tool, we have activate on complete. So once the events are completed their sequence, you can turn on another object and have this be a trigger for another object. We also have reset on complete. So again, Once the sequence is complete, this tool can turn off and be ready for reactivation. Let's go ahead and activate this tool at runtime and see how it looks. Turned down our directional lights, it turned up and down our point light, and turned our directional lights back up. Great. That's all the time we have for in this video. Please stay tuned for the next example video.